Let's go.
What's up? Welcome to Comics League Dark, the official I almost said SpiderVerse, the official news show of Comics League. Let's say hello to the fine people. What's up, Brown Destroyer? What's up, dude? I don't know that well. And SpiderVerse 2, I'm seeing it tomorrow. That's why we're doing Comics League Dark tonight instead of tomorrow night, just so I can still give you guys the high quality content that you all deserve. So let's bring in let's bring in a guest. Let's bring in a panelist.
I am Phoenix.
I almost used the Batman doesn't do ships for your intro, but I was like, nah, I'll bring him in with the regular one. What's up, Ian? How you doing, my brother? It's good to have you. So today we are discussing a couple of different topics. So we're gonna start off, and this is a topic that actually Nick brought to my attention, and because as you guys probably know, we all have like a Comics League group chat where all the hosts come together. We can propose topics for CLD.
It's quite hopping.
Yeah, it's very hopping. It's very good. It's called Zack Snyder's Comics League. So there you go. So
of course, of course, does you expect any less?
Yeah, I know. It's like it's like, you mean there are group chats that aren't named after Zack Snyder, but anyway. So
I mean, I thought it was called Joss Whedon's Comics League, but
no, it's not called that. It will never be called that. So
worth it.
So we're talking about Image Comics being in trouble. And Nick, do you want to introduce to the audience this topic? Give them a rundown.
Yeah, you can kind of expand it because like I only kind of know like the cliff notes, like kind of like the cursory parts of it. Like, so I'll just kind of like talk about it, and then you can kind of expand upon it. So Image Comics portions, I think it was like the office workers formed a union within the company, and like I had heard about this. I didn't know it actually went through, but apparently they're already having a dispute. There's already lawsuits filed. There's already like strikes going, and let's just say the minute the union was ratified, you had human sacrifices, dogs and cats living together.
I know you're setting this up. So actually, you know what? I got a better one. So you mean there was issues immediately after unionizing?
Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
So Image Comics in trouble for a long time. What's new?
So you're saying, in other news,
water. What? So yeah, so
you're just so much mileage out of that.
Yeah, that's one of those clips that I have to use because it's literally like an all-purpose clip. So
thank you, Lawrence.
Yes, and yes, exactly. And thank you for being one of the best Perry Whites ever. So we are going to. So I'm going to pull up the article that Nick provided in the chat. So let me go ahead and share that. So, and by the way, this was also covered by EVS. So there you go. So it says Image Comics Workers Union files unfair labor practice charges against the comics publisher. Less than 3 months after being ratified, the union representing some Image Comics workers is having issues with their employer. Oh, really?
That did not take long.
One of their demands, by the way, was the ability for the employees to choose to work from home if they want to.
I mean that's fair enough. But the thing is, did you forget like the big egregious one? They wanted editorial control over the comics.
Now they wanted control over who gets to work for Image Comics, and that goes right against what the founders came up with.
Like literally, you think they're gonna allow Todd McFarlane? Like, tell Todd McFarlane, hey, you can't work for Image. Like, I am Image.
Yeah, anyone that tries to, it's Todd McFarlane specifically, you look at that dude's history in the industry, and whenever you tell him not to do something, shortly thereafter, he will do it. Like, you'll never create badass action figures.
Like, honestly, I have so much respect for Todd because he kind of stays out of it, but, like, the thing is, he hasn't been corrupted. Like, remember how he was doing an interview about toys, and he talked about how like female superheroes don't sell, and he had like a extremely rational and reasonable reason to why he ends like this guy's been in toys for like 30 years. I think he has an idea.
That's the best. That's my favorite McFarlane line. So what he said was, because the question was, would you ever do a complete line of just female action figures? And he goes, okay, here's what you don't understand. He brought up sales stuff, but then he said, okay, my number one demographic is boys. For the most part, boys do not buy female action figures. And what he said was, okay, imagine you're a parent and your kid has done really well in school. I'm laughing because this is my favorite thing Todd McFarlane's ever said. He goes, imagine your kid's doing really well in school. So you go, you know what? I want to reward you. I'm going to get you an action figure. We're going to do that. So you go to Target, you buy him.
That literally happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah. I was a magician when I was a kid. I would walk into Toys R Us and walk out with bags. So anyway, mostly Transformers, but that was my thing. Alaka Autobots. But anyway.
So your trick was like, hey, parents, you see all that money in your wallet? I'm going to turn it into plastic.
Well, let's just say I had multiple teeth pulled when I was a kid, and that turns into cash. It got to the point where the staff that was working there, when they saw me walk out with the gauze in my mouth, they would go, and I would go, yes. So anyway, so McFarlane goes, okay, so you bring the action figure home and you give it to him. And the kid goes, oh, thanks, Mom and Dad. But then they're having like soldiers and stuff. Oh, yeah, they had plenty of soldiers. Robots. Oh, you should have seen the pegs. And you got me the female character. This is when McFarlane
says their face.
This is my favorite McFarlane line ever. He goes, now, I don't know if this is true or not, but at a certain point, serial killers start at a certain spot. I'm like, what the hell? That is something Todd McFarlane will say.
And you know the most ironic part? I could literally see like a Spawn villain where his origin, like he's a serial killer, and his origin story is his family like didn't get him a robot, they got him like a Barbie type thing instead.
Well, here's the thing.
Origin. That is totally something Todd would do.
Well, if we go off of like the Joker origin, one bad day, it could be that one action figure who's having a bad day, and then that one action figure set him off, and then Brown Destroyer says Eric July should buy Image at this point. At this point, he'll probably have the money to do so real soon.
Well, the thing is, Eric July has started his own company with blackjack and hookers.
No, but can you imagine if he grows to the point where he actually buys Image and merges it and then just fires everyone?
Okay. I got to do this. Imagine, Todd and Eric are at a party. They're talking, and Eric's like, you know what, Todd? He takes out something, writes it down. He puts a little note, folds it up, and as he puts it in Todd's strip, like, I am buying this comic company.
And I'm setting new rules about the editorial area. That's a Batman Begins reference for you.
One of these days,
I got it, Nick. The minute you said I'm buying this comic company, I knew exactly what you were.
I thought you'd get it as soon as I said tuck a piece of paper in their shirt pocket.
But yes, excellent work, dude. That is a very good Batman reference. I like that. But the thing is, okay, so let's get into the meat of these issues. So I'm going to skip around. So the union describes increasingly frequent and arbitrary disciplinary actions while failing to give appropriate notification to union representatives in a series of unilateral changes and discriminatory reductions in job descriptions of union supporters.
This sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook.
So coercive rules. So this is one. Image created a work rule bearing solicitation of other employees or dissemination of literature during work hours. It probably means you can't give them advertise the union to other employees.
Jared, can you please translate this into normal human speak?
What this means is that, say you and I work at a comic company. I'm a member of the union. You're not. Under this rule, I can't go to you and say, hey, Nick, have you heard about our union and we're fighting for your employee rights?
So they can't do that on work hours or
on work hours in the work area during work hours.
So the union reps are actually barred from doing that.
No. I believe employees are barred. Image creative worker barring solicitation of other employees. So it's the employees.
So this is actually the other way around. So this isn't the union launching a complaint against their employer. This is the employer launching a complaint against the union.
Well, it is Image Comics Workers Union files unfair labor practices against Image. So it's against Image.
Wait. So, and the dispute is, I'm trying to make sense of this.
Mhm.
So the dispute is there was a breaking of the agreement to not allow people talking about the union to non-union members
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
what that why would Image be the one breaking it here? That sounds like something the union would do.
And the other one is Image unilaterally implemented a change which materially affected one employer, an elected member of the bargaining committee. So essentially, what they're saying is that Image was discriminatory against employees specifically involved in the union, is what they're saying.
Okay, that does kind of sound a bit like retaliation, and I'll give them credit that actually might have some merit. Like I was raised like my dad was an auto worker, so all this union BS I'm kind of familiar with. So
It says your Image unilaterally implemented a new work procedure and initially rolled it out in a non-uniform fashion. The procedure was rolled out at different times among different employees with different instructions being given to different workers within the bargaining unit. The company refused requests to communicate with the bargaining committee over this change prior to implementation.
I don't know. That sounds so vague. It could literally be anything.
Well, the thing about this, here's what you have to understand about the people that unionize, and EVS actually said this, and his panel did actually sum this up perfectly. All these people are replaceable. They could just fire everyone there and just say, "We'll just hire new people."
Yeah, like I said, I have some experience with unions. My father was an auto worker for over 30 years, so I grew up in that environment. Obviously I'm from Michigan, which is a big union state, so it's like I know tons of people who are unions, and I hear all these stories. So,
and here's the thing: to be clear, this is not the creatives. There should be a union for comic creatives, but that's besides the point. But these are just the standard office workers.
This is kind of more of a Super Split Screen Brother statement. What I'm about to say, there should be a gamers union, like a game developers union.
Oh,
just
yeah,
because of all the abusive practices. But that is not a comics league topic. That's a Super Split Screen Brothers topic.
Yeah. Well, I will say this again, and I said this like 5 minutes ago, but I'll say it again. There should be a comic creators union, because when you see how the creators are treated, at least to make sure that like they get proper compensation if their stuff is put into a movie, because Brubaker got dirt and nothing for Falcon Winter Soldier.
Okay, let me tell you. I'm about to speak from very big experience here. Okay. Unions are, all unions are not created equal. And the thing about unions is they all start out great. They all start out sunshine and rainbows. But the problem with unions is that they are easily corrupted. Okay, and there's a reason why the mob has always targeted unions. And the reason, especially in today's climate and in these industries, unions are used as a cudgel for censorship, control, and just power. And so unions are not the silver bullet that we think they are. And honestly, in many realistic scenarios, they're the worst possible scenario. And I'm not saying all unions are bad, but what I am saying is unions are not inherently a good thing.
Yeah, and oftentimes it can lead to companies doing very rash actions to get rid of the unions. Why does why doesn't Image make games based on Spawn, Invincible, and Hellboy?
Well, because they're a comic book company. I mean, they're not a video game development company. I mean, also that there has been Spawn video games going as far back as a Super Nintendo.
I think they should be making games on their IPs, but I mean, at least exploring that possibility and stuff.
Are you talking internally, or do you want them to partner with third-party studios?
I'm saying partner. What's up, Tevia? What's up, David?
Yeah, because opening an internal Image development studio, that is a whole thing. It's
And aggressively relaxing, by the way, fantastic username. I love that. Image Comics is always in trouble. That is the point. Eric July, Steven Crowder got fired. ISOM 2 is on indefinite hiatus because Blaze ran out of money. Eric July was what?
Yeah, like I didn't really understand. Like he just kind of threw in
That
Steven
last
Crowder.
part did not make any sense. Yes.
Also, throwing in Steven Crowder that like I don't understand. But like,
ISOM 2 is in wait, ISOM 2 is on indefinite hiatus. Where? No, I've not
if you
heard
look at
that.
Eric July's he's like Eric July just announced like a whole slew of books. You know, like he's
I
getting
will be
like
getting
industry,
all of them.
and I think he's also said ISOM 2 is in development. Like
This is just a troll. But anyway, so Tevia says technically Dark Horse owns Hellboy. Oh, okay. And we are getting a Hellboy game. The Hellboy game looks freaking dope.
Oh yeah, I forgot they announced that.
And by the way, I want games based on comic books to have the comic book look and feel like Hellboy. I get that they want to go like hyper realistic and stuff, but I think that there is a time. I think that they should bring back like having more cell shaded, like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, Jared, allow me to pitch you your dream game.
What?
Okay, imagine a game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Okay,
But DC.
and cell shaded. And
They had the DC one.
No. And it's a Justice League Unlimited game, and they bring back all the voice actors.
Well, they can't bring back all the voice actors, but that's besides the point. But
as many as they can.
Yeah. What's up, Legion? How you doing? And
tell me, be like pre-order.
I would pre-order it if there's a role-playing system where I can have like Superman romance Wonder Woman. Then I'm good. Because I don't want to be playing a game. He's not a Blaze employee. You're wrong on that. Okay. He's someone that goes on the Blaze, but he's not a Blaze employee.
Jared, don't feed the trolls.
Yeah, I am the first one on the list. Yeah, same like Darkness 2, which is also cell shaded, or even like what's that? I'm trying to remember that game. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying. I because there's this game that came out. Hang on, actually. Nick, talk while I try and find this.
So hi guys, how you doing? I'm Nick from the Phoenix Press, and Wonder Bat is like the best ship ever. And
oh, sorry, he definitely gets paid by the Blaze and has to file his tax. Because Blade Hairs own it. Well, he gets paid, but he's not actually a Blaze like employee, is what I mean. He's probably a subcontractor. But
I mean, we're getting in the weeds here.
The point is, he didn't get fired from the Blaze, and ISOM 2 is not on an indefinite hiatus. So I don't know what that's.
Yeah, we're not really talking about like ISOM here. I mean, we're mentioning it, but like that's not the point of this conversation.
Yeah, and what happened to Image? Okay, so what happened to Image is that. So you remember, David, a couple of months ago when there was a what's the word? A union that started off all the office workers. Unionization of all the office workers at Image. Well, now they have filed a complaint against Image saying that the company like discriminated against union members.
Also, just wanted to clarify, these are not the creatives who unionize, it's the office workers. We're talking like clerical secretaries, or we're talking like people who order the paper, like people who like organize shipments, like those kind of people.
And to be clear, those are the people that wanted to just work from home. I can
also,
get.
What's up, Droga?
Hey, what's up, Droga? How you doing? I can understand like the creatives wanting to work from home because you don't really need to be in the office to write a comic book, right? Yeah. So yeah, the Invincible game would go crazy. Yes. I want a Spawn game and an Invincible game. I want I want all of this. I want all this. So basically the higher ups are mad. Kind of, yeah. Exactly. And again, Joker says, I saw SpiderVerse last night. It was amazing, very trippy. I'm seeing it tomorrow. That's why I'm doing CLD tonight. But so can you imagine an Invincible game? That has to be rated M. Same thing with a Spawn game, really.
Yeah, when's the last Spawn game we got? Was it during I think it was during the PS2 era, right?
I think so. And Dark Horse should partner with Image Comics at this point. True. There was a rumor. Remember, like a couple of years ago, there was all those rumors coming out that DC was going to shut down the comics division or like sell off the comics division. There was a rumor that like
rumors are still flying around.
There was one of the people that was actually floated to buy DC is
Yeah, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think. Like here's the thing about like Marvel and DC. I don't think like the big companies will ever sell off the comics of those. I think what we will see is they'll shutter the in-house development and they'll license it out because those characters print too much money for them to literally sell off portions of the rights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I can see happening, and I can really see this happening, is let's say Marvel or DC shutter their comic books, and then Todd literally picks up the license to do DC Comics, and it's an imprint under Image. So you still see the DC logo, but it's basically Image.
You also have the Image, which is kind of funny because he kind of does that. Because you know those Page Puncher exclusive comic books that come with those figures, those are done by him. So I'm like, he's already doing it. So as far as I can tell, this is great news. Who wants to read art from people who are comfortable? No, yeah, I would agree with that.
I would like artists to sit in a comfy chair while they draw.
Mm-hmm. Is Mask an Image property? By the way, I saw that.
Dark Horse. Mask is Dark Horse.
I saw that movie years and years and years and years ago without knowing it was a comic book. It was astounding when I first got into comics, seeing how many of my favorite movies were based on comic books.
Did you know that The Road to Perdition is based off a comic book?
Oh, yeah, I did. It's a Vertigo book, right?
I think so. Also, you know that movie Snowpiercer?
Yes. I haven't watched it, but I know of it.
That is based off a comic book.
Mm-hmm. David wants to know, what's Mark Millar's company called?
I think his imprint is Millar World, but I believe he operates usually under a separate company, like established company.
It's still Image, because I have like a couple of volumes of Jupiter's Legacy, and yeah, it's still Image and Netflix.
But it's under the Millar World umbrella,
yeah.
So it's kind of like an imprint.
History of Violence is a comic book, and I have no idea about that. Yeah, is Stranger Things based on comics? No, I think that's an original thing. They have comics, but it's original thing, which I still have to pick up. You know what else has comics? Critical Role.
You want to know what movie surprisingly is not based off a comic?
What?
Hancock.
Oh yeah, you would think that would be based on one, right?
Yeah, it just screams adaptation.
Honestly, I could see Garth Ennis doing that one.
Also, Brown Destroyer. Brown Destroyer is like half right. So what Brown Destroyer is referring to is the book Valerian and the City of Thousand Planets, which actually did get a movie about 5 years ago. Star Wars is kind of a mixture of things. Like it's kind of partially based off of Buck Rogers. Yes, Valerian is an influence. It's a mixture of things like a lot of Buck Rogers, 30 serials, Flash Gordon. But Valerian is the City of Thousand Planets is certainly an inspiration for Star Wars.
Speaking of Valerian, when the movie came out, like around the same time Wonder Woman 1 came out, and the movie bombed, and the director immediately attacked Wonder Woman as the reason.
The movie wasn't bad. It just was like visually, it was amazing.
So stunning.
The story was a bit bland, and the dialogue and at times was very stilted. It's just also the main two actors had like no chemistry.
None at all.
And I know people like to get on Ian DeHaan. He's not a terrible actor. It's just when you put him in bad material, he like some actors can take bad material and make it amazing.
Like Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
Yes. Dana DeHaan is not one of those people. But if you give him good material, like I actually liked him in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I thought he was a good
he was a pretty decent Harry Osborn. I'll give because first off, I enjoyed Amazing Spider-Man 2, no matter what you guys say.
Like I like he didn't have much chemistry with Peter, but just in isolation, him playing that character as Harry, that version, I thought he did a great job. Good job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 100%. And the thing about it, I'm fine if you are upset that your movie didn't do well, but to this goes back to an upcoming Under Two Capes episode when you attack other creatives' work. It's like James Cameron, which I love his stuff, but I can't stand his attitude. He has this very entitled attitude where he was saying that Wonder Woman was not heroic or like advancing feminism because she fights in a bustier, and I'm like, in your last movie, didn't you have a pregnant girl in a bikini shooting arrows? Shut up.
Yeah. Also, need I mention that in True Lies, he literally had a scene where what's her name? The wife of Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing a lap dance, and she didn't know it was her husband that was watching.
Yeah.
Shut the F up, James Cameron. You're a great director, but shut the F up.
Again, he's one of my creatives where I dislike his I like his work. He has directed some pretty kick-ass movies, but I hate his attitude. He has the attitude of I'm the best director of all time, which you're not.
He's that like. Here's the thing. He's one of them. He's one of them. But look at people like Steven Spielberg, who is honestly, in terms if there was a top 5 list, Steven Spielberg would be one or two.
Yeah, he's
top,
up there.
Top 5 directors that are still working today. Steven Spielberg would he's kind of gone downhill recently, but he's in Steven Spielberg is in the top 3. James Cameron is in between 3 and 5. You know.
Yeah, but I'm he treats it like he is this god to filmmaking, and I'm like, dude, you make great work. Just do that. It's totally fine. You can print money with Avatar. Just stop. And it's the guy that said the only reason why people don't know Jake and Neytiri is because there hasn't been that many movies. I'm like, you didn't really make that many interesting characters in Avatar. All of them act the same, but that's besides the point. James Cameron has lost his mind. I didn't like his Avatar 2. It was all CGI, no story. I liked it, but CGI, no story. Isn't that also the first one?
Yeah, I didn't like Avatar. I saw it once, and I was like, well, there's a movie I'm never going to see again. Because, it's visually interesting, which, I don't think anyone would deny that. But the story is so, it's Trail of Tears. It is literally the Trail of Tears.
Yeah. You know what it is? He's a less talented Zack Snyder in terms of in terms of Avatar, because a lot of it is style over substance. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people, when they look at Zack Snyder's DC movies, they will say, okay, I may disagree with the creative choices, but they look very pretty.
I mean, he has I like Titanic. I think Titanic, even though the framing is a love story, I think he actually executed it pretty well. Obviously, Terminator 1 and 2 are amazing movies. You know, Terminator 2 is literally one of the greatest movies of all time. Anyone who says differently is wrong.
Again, I'm not saying he's not a talented director. The dude is. This right here and stuff. I'm not saying the dude sucks as a director. It's just he has a very huge ego that really gets annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, not so much that made $1 billion. It made $1 billion because it's Avatar at that point, because it became a cultural thing.
And this is why, I compare to Steven Spielberg, who, even when the '90s dawned, he if he had done nothing post 1990, he would still be one of the top 3 directors of all time. But even in his '90s output is legendary. Look how humble Steven Spielberg is.
Hell, look at how humble Zack Snyder is. Yeah. Even throughout DC, after he left DC, he could have gone on a thing and trashed everyone, but he's like, no, Aquaman was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I mean,
look at George Lucas.
Yeah.
Do you ever see George Lucas make overtly political statements? I don't think he's ever. The only time he makes political statements is through his movies, which you can make that. For example, Star Wars is based off Vietnam War. I think Vietnam.
Who would agree? It's also talking about, you could take Star Wars as an anti-big government movie because of what happens with the Empire.
And the prequels are definitely, especially 2 and 3, are definitely a comment on the War on Terror.
Oh yes. And by the way, yeah, again, I liked Avatar 1 and 2. But I'm just saying he uses that as an excuse to have this big chip on his shoulder going, I'm the best. And I'm like, you're not. There are other directors that you're not the best. You're one of the best. Absolutely.
Let me let you in on a little secret. I'm those who okay. I'm gonna quote Game of Thrones here. Jared, just shut the F up for a second. Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
Yeah.
Basically, what that means is, if you have to tell people you're the best, then you aren't the best. If you are the best, then people will inherently, like, for example, Jared is the best. Jared doesn't need to say he's the best. Literally, other people just say it for him, like I just did. Jared, you're the best.
Thank you. Lucas did trash the sequel trilogy, which, let's face it, it does make a lot of good points that the story sucked and had no plan. That's true.
I mean, yeah, but he's not saying, but he's never really made like overtly political statements, like even throughout the years, like, oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could probably go back, like, oh, he made a comment about George Bush in like 2003 or something.
Well, not only that, I don't think I've ever heard him attack other people's movies and say, "Oh, she's not a hero." She's
also,
not
here's the other thing about George.
And
Lucas.
What's up, Whoopa?
Ooh, Whoopa's here. Nice.
And by the way,
here's the thing that like you got to respect George Lucas for.
Mm-hmm.
George Lucas has never attacked the fans when he, more than any other person,
has
every reason. Like,
and
literally, he has never actually gone out and attacked the fans. Like, he's never called them mean crybabies. Like, he's never said all the bad things about the way they've attacked him. George Lucas ruined my childhood. Like, seriously, like, that man is class.
Okay, hang on. Since you mentioned that, I have to play this clip specifically because every time I hear the people that say this director or this creative choice ruined my childhood, this is what I'm thinking.
Okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters.
Legion, honestly, okay, we can all I'm saying is that Snyder, I think, in my opinion, has the best attitude as a director because he's the most humble dude you will ever see. Not once has he ever attacked anyone's movies, particularly DC.
Right,
he has every reason to.
Okay, Jared,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a statement, and you're going to tell me if you agree that the statement is true or not.
Yeah.
In your opinion, Zack Snyder is one of the greatest directors ever.
One of them, absolutely.
Okay, so that's what we're going with. In Jared's opinion, Zack Snyder is one of the greatest directors ever. That's his opinion.
And again, wait, I just want to be clear. James Cameron, in my opinion, is also one of the best directors. I just loathe his attitude.
Yeah.
He gave the middle finger to fans because he was rushing out of a signing and they were booing him, and he gave them the middle finger. What kind of an entitled? I almost cursed. What kind of an entitled person does that to your fan base?
He's an entitled jerk knob. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. What is your opinion is the best Star Wars movie? Episode 3. Wait, actually, no. Wait. Of the prequels, first off, no, Attack of the Clones is not the best Star Wars movie. Of the prequels, it's episode 3. Of the original trilogy, it's episode 5.
Of the prequels,
Rogue
One.
Technically, that counts. So yeah, that's a good one.
No. If we're talking prequels as the trilogy, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, absolutely. Because episode 2, not my favorite. Episode 1 was a little long, but episode 3 was like, yes.
Episode 1 is rough. Episode 2 is really awkward. Episode 3 is just it almost feels like an entirely different trilogy. Honestly,
it does. It feels like its own trilogy in there. David Hernandez says, speaking of great directors, Ben Affleck's on the rise. Yes, exactly. Legion says fictional characters are so much more than that clip lets on. I know, but the reason why I use that clip is some people treat it like essentially if like I say I don't like the trunks on Superman, then I just slapped you in the face. So I'm like. Or like there are people that legit say that they like Superman, that they don't want to have an actual relationship. Clark and Lois are the relationship. I kid you not, these people exist. And by the way, I will be going into that in Super Wonder Legacy, our show. To be fair, Zack Snyder called people who didn't like his movies dumb. And not, he didn't say dumb. What he said was some people wanted a more simple superhero movie where like people showed up and saved the day and stuff. They weren't necessarily for this whole like complex way of like doing of telling a story. He never called them dumb.
You want to know my reaction if I'm reading a DC comic and Batman says, like, why would I ever get with Diana? That's stupid. You want to know my reaction to that is? Well, Jared's going to have a field day with this and smile.
And you know, my reaction is whenever anyone tries to push Wonder Bat.
Batman doesn't do ships.
There you go.
You're
I love that clip
mileage.
so much.
Yes.
To be fair, no, he didn't call people dumb. I love how Ben Affleck's movies where he played a drunken basketball coach. I didn't see that one. I did see Air, which for those of you that happen to check out my most recent fan edit of Henry Cavill's Superman with the Air speech in there, that's where that's from. So let's move on to a different topic. Let's go to one that's a little more positive. So The Flash is coming out, and I want to say this. So Muschietti, the director of The Flash, actually made a point of saying that this movie honors Zack Snyder's universe. Well, first off, the Snyder Cut's canon. You kind of have to. And third off, they like use Zack Snyder's Justice League for the like aesthetical cues of like the DC EU portion. So I'm like, if you're telling me the Snyder Cut's not canon, there.
Literally, Warner Brothers are caring more about the Snyderverse right now than some people.
I think that again, this is my big prediction. Is Zack Snyder calls The Flash a masterpiece. The Flash, not necessarily the finale, Legion, because what I think is going to happen, because what I've heard, The Flash just opens up the multiverse. So if they want to, they can come back to that and do his other movies. It's not a finale.
I suspect they're just going to continue doing what they've been doing for the past 10 years. Just keep trying to like throw darts at the board, never actually cancel the Snyderverse, and just keep meandering along because Snyderverse never died. It never actually died.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, Legion, it is because if Warner Brothers accounts are telling you to watch the Snyder Cut to prepare for The Flash, and Andy Muschietti is saying that it was inspired by Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's canon. So
also, here's the other thing that's actually been confirmed is that in the Flash movie, they acknowledge the events of Snyder Cut, and what I mean by that is the time travel sequence.
Yeah, there's only one cut where that happened. So
yeah, that happened in the Snyder Cut.
And yes, Tevia, I do think that. And by the way, is Henry Cavill in the Flash movie footage of previous movies or new shooting? So what came out today? There was a new trailer that came out that shows like, because we know that in the beginning of the movie, the only Superman footage we got, I've got buddies that already watched it. I have friends that watch and said no, it doesn't. So again,
let's just say this, okay? Mm-hmm. We're all of us are quoting somebody else who watched it, blah blah mm-hmm. blah. Let's all wait till we've seen it and like we've all seen the movie, and then we can either do a eulogy or we, you know. But also, here's the other thing: we know they shot a cameo for Henry, like Henry Cavill shot a cameo for the Flash. We know that actually happened. Mm-hmm. And also, it's also been revealed that what the previews they've been doing is not actually the final film.
Yeah,
we know that.
They didn't show the ending or the post-credit. So what could happen, I'm just saying could. And by the way, when I say the Snyder Cut is canon, I'm just operating under the information that I have after not having watched any cut of The Flash. And adios, Tevia. All I'm saying is that what they could do, because let me put it this way, James Gunn's been keeping in a lot of stuff that sets up for sequels in Shazam too. So what that indicates to me is that nothing is on the table. He's not in the film. He plays in the TV in the background. How do you know? Because here, yes, that's true, Legion. But here's the issue: no one has seen the actual ending of the movie too, because according to sources at Warner Brothers, they said that there's an ending that that's going to have an ending that no one has watched yet. No one's also seen the post-credit scenes either. So there's so much about this movie that no one has watched yet. So we can't definitively say that this is the movie.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say on that. So it's just nice to see the Snyder Cut get some acknowledgement and respect. It's official standing of Warner Brothers. Yeah, I do have official standing of Warner Brothers when they're telling people. They released a list of movies that, at least Warner Brothers Japan released a list of movies that they're going to start screening on their YouTube channel to prepare people from the Flash, and they specifically said Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's just the way it works. That's the official word from the Warner Brothers, from one of the Warner Brothers accounts, because there is a coordination there. They have to they have to tell people which version of the movie. I don't see how this couldn't be canon. Literally, it's all the Justice League cast and the time travel scene. That's it. As soon as I hear that time travel moment, I'm like, yeah, it's canon, because it didn't happen in the previous version. They intentionally took it out, and it won an Oscar. So actually, before I say it,
I know what you're gonna do.
I'm just gonna let the man himself say it. Where is it? I need to move this clip onto the top.
Yeah, second Warner Brothers.
I need this all the way to the top, because I use this clip way so much, and I'll put it right above the Lawrence Fishburne clip. Bro, that doesn't make it canon. After all you were trying to do.
Okay. No. Let's for the sake of argument, for the sake of like this specific arguing this specific point, let's pretend they do specifically reference that scene in the movie. Let's say they do. That literally makes it like that is what makes it canon. Like for example, Mira saying, "Oh, you fought Steppenwolf in Aquaman," literally makes this canon to a version of the
and Legion watch party done by Warner Brothers. That's the key here. How's that not make it canon? Like, logically, that confused the audience by Justice League not being canon. They actually said Zack Snyder's Justice League by Warner Brothers watch. If it's just some dude doing a watch party, yeah, I'd agree with you. But Warner Brothers, any of y'all read the official prequel story? Yes, I did. Nothing in there indicates.
You mean the one that came out like a year ago, like when they've like retooled the story 3 times since then?
And by the way, yes. And by the way, none of first off, the prequel stories, number one, rarely ever line up. And second off, I've read that book recently. Nothing in that book delegitimizes the Snyder Cut. Nothing. I'm just going to tell you there. Nothing there points to Whedon Cut. You can have a different interpretation of Themi Legion. That's fine. That's the point of healthy discussion. But I'm just saying.
I would say, like, I appreciate the passion of Legion. I appreciate your passion. I think it's like we're just kind of arguing off of our own personal speculation.
Yeah.
I'd say it's best just to wait till the movie comes out, and if it canonizes SpiderVerse, awesome. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. I think we're all operating off of different stuff. We don't really have the full truth here. I'm just kind of saying maybe we should kind of take a step back and
just one more point I'm going to address. Yeah, he was still trying to understand his powers in the Snyder Cut too. He still didn't really have a handle on all of his powers. So that's what I'm going to say that in the Snyder Cut. So again, nothing, because all those powers that he does in that book, he never did in the Snyder Cut too. So it's conceivable. It's really not passion. I'm just telling you what I know. Plus, I love the debate. Oh, of course, me too, dude. And Legion, I love you, dude. Legion's a good friend of mine. So it's all good. I'm just saying. Yes, you've seen information for that. I've seen information that points the other side. And like Nick said, until either of us sees the final cut of the movie in a couple of weeks, literally it could go both ways because Warner Brothers changes their minds so much.
Yeah, I have temporary insanity. I convinced myself I was John Cena. I was trying to play Peacemaker.
And by the way, the prequel comics isn't even canon because
that was a good joke.
Yes, I appreciate that. And the Brown to Short brings up a good point. The prequel comics isn't even canon. Zack Snyder mentioned Supergirl wasn't in that Kryptonian ship. In the prequel comics, it was Supergirl. Contradiction.
Also, the important thing to know is that they've been constantly retooling the Flash over and over again for like the past 2 years. And how long ago did that prequel comic come out? Like a year ago, 2 years ago?
Let me put it this way. Before the most recent round of like retooling of this movie.
Yeah, so I think it's very clear that like it might have been in line with the previous version of the movie, but I'm about 90% certain it's not in line with this version.
Literally says on the cover, it also explains why the Batmobile backflip is in the film. Okay, but what does that have to do with? He's saying it being canon to the Flash. Yeah, but I'm just saying nothing in that prequel comic, I think, contradicts ZSJL. We'll leave it on that because I don't want to have a big like argument on that. But that's actually a topic for another stream. I'd love to have you on to talk about this. So one more Flash topic, and then we'll get to the overwhelming positivity for SpiderVerse. Apparently, Ezra Miller could still be the Flash.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this. I'm not gonna believe anything Flash related until after the movie comes out because it's very clear that they're doing damage control and that everyone who is talking about the Flash in any official manner is doing so because, like, it's very obvious that Warner Brothers is saying what people can say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the minute I saw Stephen King say something positive about Flash, I knew, yeah, nothing anyone says is to be taken to gospel until after the movie comes out and it's run its course. Because, all everyone is saying, because like, you really think that they would say before the movie comes out that Ezra Miller is like, oh, this is Ezra Miller's last movie. He's not going to be the Flash. You really think they'd say that before the movie comes out?
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. I'm just going to say one more point on this. There was only one cut where the Flash went back in time. That's why it links specifically to ZSJL. So that's all I'm going to say there. So Zack Snyder also mentioned differently during interviews, plans change. Yeah, just what they could always just do. And again, what they could always do is say ZSJL 2 and 3 takes. Well, they can't do. Actually, they can't do 3 because Batman dies at the end of 3. But the point is, because Zack said he has a whole new story lined up with his characters, they could always just say it takes place in between ZSJL and Flash. Just because it doesn't build off of ZSJL, doesn't mean it's not the canon thing. That's just what I'm saying there. But anyway, so let's see. Mention if any plans change. But yeah, in relation to this, so Muschietti said actually 2 very interesting things. Number one, he said the Flash was never in danger of being pulled by Warner Brothers, which I'm like, okay, I do have opposing information for that. But you also have some information. I'm not going to argue with the director. But he also said that if this movie gets a sequel, he will push to keep Ezra as the Flash.
Also, here's the other thing you got to keep in mind: if this movie gets a sequel, then that means they're not rebooting this universe.
That's true. Because wait a second. Because what they could do, here's what they could do to link it to the Snyderverse. I thought about this recently. Okay, so what we know about the ending from what's been leaked or something like that. Let's assume that the ending is Barry ends up in the Clooneyverse, let's say, in one of these universes. And the Flash 2 is him getting back to the Snyderverse. And I got to give credit. Nicotina had this interesting idea. What if at the end of Flash 2, he ends up in the nightmare timeline?
Well, we all know what's going to happen at the end of the Flash 2. In the post-credit scene, he wakes up.
If you say Grant Gustin, I'm going to remove you from the stream.
He wakes up and it's shot from a first-person perspective. He looks in the mirror and he finds out that he's suddenly Grant Gustin.
Mm-hmm. It's actually insane to think that this movie is even going to come out when what Ezra has done, especially thinking about the time period we live in.
Okay, this is really what ticks me off. Okay, Johnny Depp gets booted off of Fantastic Beasts off of the accusations. Okay, Ezra has actually done stuff. He started like cults. He's proven to kidnap children. You know, he's attacked fans literally on video.
Some of that stuff has been like overblown. I will say that in the interest of being fair there.
He did start a cult in Iceland, though. There's but literally, there's videos of him choking fans.
Yeah, that
alone, like seriously, if this was like even 10 years ago, he would have been fired instantly just for that alone.
Mm-hmm.
there's like all the like his arrests in Hawaii. Those are documented. Like
Yeah, and he didn't kidnap anyone. Nick Legion's bringing that up. He didn't kidnap anyone.
fine. Fine. That didn't happen. But there's so much of that is like proven.
The stuff he did do that realistically would have gotten him removed, or should have, honestly.
And the fact that Johnny Depp literally has been proven in the court of law that it was slander, it was libel, and Amber Heard is still allowed to keep her role.
Well, not necessarily, because at the end of Aquaman, she's done because she even moved out of the country. But I will say, speaking of Johnny Depp, I was watching YouTube today. What came up? A Johnny Depp Dior ad. So I was like, oh, it's Johnny.
Yeah, he's coming back. Trust me.
And by the way, in terms of like him going into a new Batman, I know. But the Flash 2 plot, we don't know what the Flash 2 plot could be. It could be him trying to get back to his universe. Because
Flash
all it
2
does
No,
is he ends up in another reality.
The title of the movie is Flash 2, Even Flashier.
No, it's Flash 2, Homeward Bound. Look at Nick's face. It's just Homeward Bound.
Sorry, you transported me to the 90s there for a moment.
Yeah, I know exactly, because I watched that movie.
And now my mind is thinking images of the mud pit.
And the DCU, okay, it's not a okay. So yes, here's what you guys have to understand about the DCU. It's actually not a reboot. All they're doing is they're moving over to another world in the multiverse. That's all they're doing. A reboot implies that they are actually eliminating the SpiderVerse, meaning you can't ever go back to that. That's what the reboot means. So there you go. The child's a grown adult who said immediately that she wasn't kidnapped. That was her pissed off parents that she wasn't answering the phone. Okay, I appreciate you clarifying that. But yeah, so I'm just saying it's interesting. But what this shows to me is that, are sequels actually on the table, or is that just this is literally a reboot? Is this the same world that's been altered by the events of Flashpoint? It's not the same. It's not the same though, because in Flashpoint, according to what we know about this plot, it's a multiverse story. It's not the actual Flashpoint story.
Which yeah, I mean,
it's a wasted opportunity, but. Yeah. I can tell you didn't watch the reboot video I sent you. I'm not saying no. I'm saying the movies. I'm talking about the movies, not the comics. Because Flashpoint itself, the original comic book storyline, took place really just in Earth, in Earth Prime, and this one is traveling to different worlds. That's why they're showing like the Christopher Reeve Superman, accordingly the Linda Carter Wonder Woman. Hell, the Ghost Rider Superman, I'll say his name. The Nick Cage Superman.
You know what would be interesting? What if they actually went to the Linda Carter Wonder Woman verse? Okay, and hear me out, all right?
Oh, boy.
So in the TV show, there is a Wonder Girl in the TV show. What if you have Linda Carter's Wonder Woman is retired, and Donna Troy
That'd be super cool. And by the way, hyper time travel. Okay, but I got to ask you this. What are you basing this off of? Because all I know is what the directors have said, the creators in this movie have said it's a multiversal story. He doesn't get I was just using her as an example of like they're showing all these different like worlds. That's what they're doing.
Also, this is a bit of a spoiler. So while I have my fist up, you might want to mute. So, Nick Cage is coming back as Superman, his version of Superman.
Yeah.
All right. If you had you can unmute now. Spoiler done.
Yeah. And then Legion. Now we're actually about to end. We just have one more topic, and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from this. We're gonna talk about.
Wait. There is a little kind of an intermediate topic.
I'll do it at the end. So we're going to talk about the overwhelmingly positive reviews that the SpiderVerse 2 is getting across, and I mean across the SpiderVerse. Don't forget the giant spider too. Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna talk.
Thank you, George Peoples.
Thank you. So we're gonna talk about the SpiderVerse 2 because currently the Rotten Tomatoes score for SpiderVerse, and this is audience and critics. The critic score is 95. The audience is 97.
Yeah, I'm glad it's getting good reviews. I just have no interest in it because
That's fine.
I like the first movie, but this one is just leaning way too hard into the multiversal tropes. The first one was more like, hey, we've got a small group of like other dimensional heroes, and like the whole plot is like how they contrast with each other. But this one, it's like, oh, let's just throw a billion spider people at the wall and just like, it's just like.
That's fair enough. But what this shows me is that it's a genuinely good movie. It's not just like the critics popping up a movie for ideological reasons while the audience hates it. Because if that were the case, this audience score would not be 97%.
To be fair, it is a bit tainted. They brought in the pregnant Spider-Woman.
There are a few things in there, but for the most part, it seems like it's just those like small moments in there.
Yeah, it's just honestly the plot just.
That's fine. I'm just saying what this looks like is that it's a genuinely good movie instead of it being like propped up for ideological reasons. Peter Parker's nothing like in the Spider-Verse. Is not the Peter Parker that they read. Actually, here's the thing. That is the Earth 616 Peter, and also it says Earth 616. So
remember, Kevin Feige thinks the MCU is a 616. So designations are a little bit,
That's okay, whatever. But it's a two-part movie. Yes, it is a two-part though. I think that they did confirm in like a trailer that's part 1 and part 2, which that'll be interesting. Peter Parker and Spider-Verse seem to be from a different universe. Yeah, he's an older Spider-Man from the 616 is what they said.
Are you talking about Peter B. Parker?
Mm-hmm. Because
Yeah,
he is. I looked it up.
What's funny is I thought he was like, I from what I hear, originally they wanted Peter B. Parker to be the Tobey Maguire version, like they were actually have Tobey voice it, and that ended up not happening. Because if you notice, a lot of Peter B. Parker's moments are the Raimi moments.
And by the way, Legion, look it up. I've done the research into this. They actually designate him as the 616 Spider-Man.
Well,
I don't want to watch it. I want to watch it. I
don't
know if I'll see it.
He is not from Earth TRN 701. I'm literally on the Marvel database wiki right now.
Okay, the Peter that died in the first one is Ultimate Spider. Yes, that one is Ultimate Spider-Man. Absolutely.
And Peter B. Parker is from Earth TRN 701. Want me to share screen?
Yeah, sure. Because that's weird. Because in the scene in the movie where they show the portals, they actually show Earth 616.
Remember, MCU. Like they literally think they're like Kevin Feige.
Oh yeah,
Jared.
true.
Jared,
Yeah. I also have it pulled up right now too. But yeah, or TRN 701.
Yep, that's where he's from.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's yep.
And yes, it's an adapted version of Ultimate Spider-Man, but absolutely yes, that they are doing the whole Ultimate Spider-Man dies and then Miles takes over. And the Ultimate Spidey that dies in this one had the Tobey Maguire tyrant.
It was Peter B. It was, if you actually, it might have been, it might have been like a little bit since you've seen the movie, but it was Peter B. Parker because like remember Peter A. Parker. That's the Ultimate version. Just for designation,
Mm-hmm.
he actually never got a backstory. Like
they showed it. They did show it. I just watched the movie today.
But Peter B. Parker had the Raimi moments, though.
Not all of them. The train part was Peter A. Parker.
And the upside down kiss.
Yeah, in that one.
Also, Peter B. Parker had the dancing.
No, that was Peter A. Parker. No, I'm on 100%. That was Peter A. Parker because he goes, I've done this. I got a comic book,
All right.
but I also did
All right.
this. You have to look it up. All right. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna live react. Okay, like obviously we can't hear it, but
Just live react. Yeah, Peter A. Parker had the dancing. Thank you, Legion.
All right, so I'm gonna do a live reaction here. I'm pulling it up now.
He's pulling it up right now. We're gonna do this. So again, there are some parts that are changed, but for the most part, they do. Yes, I watched that. They did do the Sam Raimi parts for Peter A. Parker.
I just posted the video that I'm about to live react to. If you want to do it with me, so all right, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So again, he is watching the essentially the opening to Into the SpiderVerse, and they'll bring up like most of the other stuff. They'll bring up numerous Spideys had the upside down kiss. A had the Toby parts. Yeah. He had the train and all that stuff.
All right.
So he is live reacting to the Into the Spider-Verse opening sequence. It was the first part.
Upside down kiss. Peter B. Parker, upside down kiss.
Yeah, but also here's the thing. They literally use the Uncle Ben audio for "With great power comes great responsibility." Yep. They will immediately show in the next part.
Okay, yeah. I'm about a minute 14 in. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. So it has the upside down kiss.
45 seconds into the intro, they show the dancing scene. That was Peter A.
Okay. Well, there's that then, I guess.
Is there an Illuminati Spider-Man in the MCU? That's a good question on that. He means in like Multiverse of Madness, where they had like the Illuminati. Was there a Spider-Man?
I mean, in the multiverse, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. To quote, we'll have to ask, "What if?" There you go. That's a pun on the MCU. What if?
What if the Spider-Man comics were actually good?
What if Zeb Wells had never written Spider-Man?
What if Dan Slott never came to Marvel?
No. Dan Slott's Spider-Man run is actually pretty good.
Well, okay. Here, I'm gonna set you up for something here. So be on the ball for what I'm about to say. What if Bendis never came to Marvel?
I know what you're setting me up.
Why did you say that name?
You know, the same could be said to DC. In fact, you could call it a Bendis point.
Yeah, so that's a reference to a new direction that JJheat and I are doing, where we're going to talk about the second and third order effects that what if Brian Michael Bendis had never come to DC. Spoiler alert, it's all good.
I'm sorry, I had to set you up for the promo.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So I think that's a good actually, no. Did we cover all the topics? Yeah, we did. Yeah. Stop. So I'm with Bendis was fire at Marvel. He just wasn't good for Soups. He wasn't good for all the DC stuff he worked on. But yeah, he was fire at Marvel. I'll give you that. Back when he was good.
He was fire in the up until the late 2000s. You know, once he killed Peter Parker off in Ultimate, he kind of went downhill.
Yeah. So I'm pulling up the Indiegogo thing so I can put the link in the chat for you all.
Yep.
And for those that don't know, Nick wrote a comic that is almost done, as a matter of fact, right?
Yep. While you're doing that, let me show you some prints I had made today. So I'm doing a con here this weekend, and so this is the art for Turn Samurai Q1 done by Nick Garber, and then Jared, here's something that you will like, and most people here. here is a print for Screecher.
I'm screeching. That's so good.
Oh, it's Screeching, all right. I
It's
guess you could
screeching
say-
time.
I was literally just about to say that exact thing.
Almost like it's Morbin time.
Why did you say that name?
David's interested. That looks sick.
Oh yeah, just David. Wait till you see. Wait till you see what I got coming up. Share that thing.
He's got some good stuff.
So
Okay.
you're gonna-
Oh yeah, hang on. So okay. So here's what's going on. I have the link in the chat for anyone that's interested in backing the comic book. And I will bring up the page. So here's what we got.
All right, so I'm doing issue 3 of Turn Samurai. We are funded, so thank you for that. We got about 3 days left in the campaign. So if you want to help us get to our stretch goals of $1,500, that is still possible. You never say never till the end. We will be going into demand, so after this is over, if you still want to grab a copy, you can. It's just I will not be going for stretch goals after the campaign ends.
Mm-hmm.
So the first stretch goal of $1,500 is the 2100 Samurai logo. I'm actually offering as a sticker. Yeah, it's 10.
I can get that because I want it.
Oh yeah. So there's like $9 shipping domestic for this stuff. But yeah, and then if you haven't got the books before, there is a catch-up tier at $30. I got some goodie bags, which include stickers and trading cards. And then for the bestest of best fans, for $100, you get the Blood and Steel edition.
Which it should be down here. It's like everywhere where there would be red is colored red.
Yep. And just kind of a quick progress report. We are closing in on being halfway done with the book.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, as far as the first half of the book, I'm just waiting on page 9 to be uploaded to the G drive. But right now, I have hired a letterer to letter the first 10 pages. And once those are done, I'll actually be releasing the first 8 pages as a preview edition. I'll be including a download link with a update. So all the people who backed it, they can grab that. It's going to be pretty awesome. And we're hoping to be shipping out in early July. And also Screecher is coming, or should I say Eva is coming.
It's screeching time. I'm so excited. So anyway, and so there's that. So make sure to back the book where you still can. And Legion, yes, I am still working on my comic. Right now we're in the character design phase because I really wanted to make sure all these characters look great before they're put in the book, so I don't have to change anything at the last minute. And I'm about halfway done with the script for issue 2, for chapter 2, because it's going to be a single graphic novel length volume, and in total there's going to be 3 volumes. So I'm going to have a trilogy, and all of them are going to tell the same epic story going on, and then if it's successful enough that I can turn it into an ongoing, I'll turn it into an ongoing.
Yeah.
And,
I know this kind of so basically, as far as what I got going on, tomorrow, I'll be doing the Friday Night Frenzy. Where me and Jared will be talking about all the cool things. CBR is doing some restructuring and just kind of talking about the pendulum seems to kind of be flipping back in our favor. On Saturday, we'll be doing movie night here on his channel, and then on my channel, we'll be continuing the playthrough of Resident Evil 2 Remake. I'm doing Claire's scenario. Jared is both the peanut gallery and my very useful guy in a chair.
In
Yeah.
other words, I'm his heckler and the dude in charge of helping him.
He both helps and hurts me. It's a toxic relationship.
Don't be saying that on the internet, dude. I have a reputation to uphold.
Toxic love.
Okay, so anyway, in terms of what I got coming out, for those of you that have been following the channel, know that I recently put out a fan edit, which was I took Matt Damon's speech from the movie Air and put it behind a bunch of clips of Henry Cavill's Superman. It came out great. And in terms of on Monday, I'm going to be doing another video, I think, of how to get into comics for beginners, because that's a topic that literally I get a lot. And I appreciate that, David. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun making it. And in terms of Indie Wednesday, TBD, because I'm still figuring out what I want to do. I am going to do an upcoming collab with Nerdette's Newsstand, talking about toxic fans in the DC fan base. Just like we're not going to name anyone. We're just going to essentially say talk about the toxic component of DC that won't let these characters evolve, or that treat these characters like they're real people and not fictional characters.
Oh, you mean like the ones where Superman doesn't have trunks to go?
Not my Superman, and I'm like, who cares? That's just the point. Or he doesn't have the S curl. That's a crappy Superman. What does that have to do with his portrayal of Superman? But anyway, I'm going to save that for the Nerdette.
I mean,
live
don't you know? The S curl is the source of all his powers. Without the S curl, how can you call him Superman?
Yeah, I know. So, on that note, that's what I got coming out. By the way, movie night, we're going to be talking about the animated movie Batman Bad Blood. Toxic fans are the worst part of comics, especially their influence as they never pick up a book because of said toxic fan or influencers. Or the people, my favorite are the Ms. Marvel fans, Kamala Khan, that apparently came out of the never bought the book, apparently, because it keeps getting canceled. But all of a sudden are wondering, why is Marvel killing her off, even though it's for synergy with the MCU? But they're like, I can't believe they're killing her.
Ms. Marvel fans are a lot like Captain Marvel fans. They love the book so much. They never buy it. They just love to talk about it online, and then they wonder why it keeps getting rebooted.
Exactly. Oh my, yes, exactly. And they've clearly never read comics because they don't understand about why death means nothing. Even so, some people are like, why are you guys freaking out? She's going to come back, particularly if she has a movie coming out. They're just trying to make her more in line with the MCU. But anyway, on that note, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Comics League Dark. I'll be sure to see you guys on Saturday for movie night, and also on Friday Night Frenzy with Nick. Be sure to check out for that. I'll be doing a community post for it too, so you guys will know when we go live for that. But anyway, stay heroic, everyone. I love you guys, and see you all next week.